Hi green lovers! It's early February, which means that it is less than a month before my last frost date, which means that I am getting into the growing season. Yay! And this is going to be a super busy month because I've got all kinds of things that I need to do before I start moving plants into the garden. So stick with me while I show you some of the things that I'm doing during February Frenzy. Coming right up. So the first thing I need to do is plant up any remaining seeds that I need to get ready as transplants for my spring and summer garden. And you know what time it is, folks? It is time to plant my tomato seeds. Yes, finally, it is about 6 weeks before I can be fully certain that I won't get any more frost, and that is when I plant up my tomatoes. So even though my official last frost date is the end of February, I'm going to give it a couple more weeks, and mid-March to early April is when my tomato transplants are going to start going in my backyard. So I'm planting at least 25 varieties of tomatoes this year, folks, and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm going to be planting. Okay, I have displayed all my tomato seeds, 3 rows of 8 tomato varieties each. The ones on the left are ones that I have tried already before and really loved, and the ones on the right are the newer varieties. So Great White, a delicious tomato. It actually tastes like a fruit. It doesn't taste like a tomato to me, and I absolutely love it. Black varieties of tomatoes do really well in my Northern California Zone 9B garden, and so black brandywine is absolutely one of my favorites. Stupis is a mid-sized tomato that also does really well here. And these two, Geranium Kiss and Ferdo Kofi, are dwarf variety tomatoes. Now these tomatoes, they actually don't grow very tall, maybe about 2 to 3 feet tall, but they bear full-size tomatoes. So I really love these. I wish I'd gotten some more, but it's gonna have to do. I've also got some tomatillos or ground cherry. This is a pineapple tomatillo, and this one is something called poha. I've grown this before, and this is actually seeds that I saved, and the pineapple tomatillo is a new variety that I'm going to be growing this year. These are super sweet. The tomatillos are ready when they drop on the ground, and I call them ground candy or garden candy. And they are super sweet, and they are even better when you dry them. So I dehydrate these. Oh gosh, they taste so good. This is a Black Beauty tomato, never grown it before, but look at how beautiful that is. So I am keen to see what turns out there. And this has got to be my absolute favorite tomato, the Berkeley Pink Tie-Dye. I just love the flavor. I love how beautiful it looks. And these are seeds that I saved, so I'm going to try and grow these. I've got a few paste tomatoes, Amish paste, San Marzano. I had some very productive San Marzano plants last year, and so I'm going to be growing seeds from those. This is a striped Roma. Now these are all new varieties that I've never grown before, so climbing triple crop, Costoludo Genovese. A neighbor said that they grow really well here, so I'm going to try that. Chocolate stripes, just because they look so awesomely cool. And this one is a Chef's Choice Pink, which is All America Selections winner, so I hope it'll do well in my garden. I've also got the old favorites. My cherry tomatoes, my Sun Gold and Black Cherry are absolutely my favorite cherry tomatoes. I've got Chadwick Cherry, I've got the Super Sweet 100. I've got a new one called Everglades Currant that someone gave me seeds for, so I'm going to try and grow those. And then this is a honey drop cherry tomato, which is supposed to be almost as delicious or maybe even more delicious than the Sun Gold. So trying that this year. And a purple bumblebee tomato that just looks cute, so I'm going to grow that. Now I've saved off a couple of packets of seeds on the side here. This is an orange hat tomato, and it's a really small micro tomato, so I'm going to try and grow that. And this is not a tomato, this is a pepper, but these two are what's going to be my single seed challenge, and I'll talk about that in a different video. So, but this, look at that pepper. Gosh, isn't it pretty? I hope it grows like that for me. It's supposed to be one of the prettiest pepper plants. Now the way that I plant my tomato seeds is I plant a whole bunch of seeds. There's probably about 10 seeds here in a single little starter tray. So this is just a small 2.5-inch square seed cell, and I plant them all in it, and I just kind of mix it around so that they're spread out a little bit. Really, that's all it takes, and these are planted up. Now, what's going to happen is they're going to all grow pretty close together. They're all going to come up at once, and they're going to look something like this. This is what I've done with my peppers, but you can see there's a whole bunch of them. There's again about 10 pepper plants, and these are pretty easy to separate, and same with tomatoes. So I grow them all together, and then I just separate them out and put them one in each little pot that I'm going to be up potting to. And I typically up pot them into something like this. So I'll have a single plant that goes into this, and it will stay in this cell until it is ready to go in the garden in 6 weeks. So I'm just planting the seeds, and then I'm going to be up potting them just once, and that will save me some amount of work. I don't have to up pot them again. That's another reason why I plant these really close to my last frost date, because I don't like constantly up potting them to larger size pots. So they will go into a pot like this, one per pot, and they will stay here until they're ready to go in the garden. And with that, all of my tomatoes are planted up for the season. Now I am going to be putting these in a transparent plastic bag, or I'm going to be covering it with a plastic dome, and I'm going to be putting it on a heat mat until they germinate. And these will germinate in less than a week. So folks, I'm going to give you a quick tour of my seed starting stations, and I've got several that I'm going to show you. But before I do that, I sure would appreciate it if you give this video a big thumbs up, because it helps it get to a broader audience, and I sure hope you're getting value from it. By the way, what are you growing in your garden this year? What are you most excited about growing? Do throw a comment below. I would love to hear about it, and I would love to share your excitement as well. And no, it's not your imagination. My hair has gotten shorter since the start of this video. I figured spring is coming, time for a new look as well, right? Anyway, haven't quite figured out whether I like it or not, but let's get on to our seedlings. So it's been exactly 10 days since I got my tomato seedlings started, and I wanted to show you the progress. So first off, my tomatoes are all growing really nicely. I started them indoors, but as you can see, I have started bringing them outdoors, at least during the daytime. I do take them in at night, but they're all growing really nicely. Even in 10 days, some of them have started to show some secondary leaves. So they're getting their true leaves already. And I've got some more that are still indoors that are sprouting a little bit slower than the others. So I've left them in for a bit in the warmth of my indoor grow tent. But I wanted to show you some of the other seedlings also that I have got here. I'm growing a lot more flowers this year. So I've got many varieties, probably about at least 25 or 30 varieties of flowers that I'm going to be growing this year. And I have got plenty of peppers and basil also. These are all basil plants. I've started putting them in bigger cups from the starters. I usually start them off pretty compact and close together. So as an example, I'll show you this one here. This is basil that I have not yet up potted. It is about time. When I start to see those second leaves, that's when I know that it's time for me to put them in a bigger pot. And I've already started doing that. It's a lot of work, folks. I won't lie. And then I've got, as I was saying, a lot of flowers. I've got some amaranth. And then I've got loads and loads of peppers as well. Actually, I've got some eggplants growing here. I wanted to point those out. Those are tomatoes as well. I've got them kind of mixed up here and there. And these are my peppers. I've got about, I'd say, easily 40 varieties of peppers growing. Some of them are out here, and I've also got some in my indoor grow tent. So this is just one of my 3 grow stations, 3 or 4 grow stations. I've also got a little makeshift greenhouse that I have built to put some of the plants that can handle overnight cold temperatures. I've just started moving them outside. Let's take a quick look. Starting from here, I've got some chamomile and again different varieties of flowers. I've got some sage, broadleaf sage that I'm growing from seed. I've got some pansies. I've got some kale, dino kale that I've started from cuttings. It's tree kale, some lettuce, And these here were intended to be microgreens, but they kind of got out of hand, and now I'm just kind of letting them grow a little bit. This is fenugreek. I can actually use them in my cooking. I use them a lot in Indian cooking. Some cilantro here. This is poppy. It's purple peony poppy. I love poppies. I'm going to grow a lot more next year. And these here are feverfew. Now, I grew feverfew without realizing that they are actually not a bee's best friend. So I'm going to have to plant them somewhere in my garden where it's okay if the bees don't come to them. So nowhere near my vegetable garden. This is some large leaf sorrel. I've got plenty of onion starts growing. I've already got one batch that I've put in the ground already, and these are getting pretty close. And I've got some, again, peas. These are microgreens, so I will snip these off, and I can actually regrow these. That's one nice thing about growing peas as microgreens. You can regrow them. I can cut them off all the way to the bottom, and they will regrow shoots. And you can do that once, maybe even twice. So I haven't pushed it more than that. And I'm also starting a lot of plants from cuttings, folks, this year. I'll show them to you in my indoor grow tent, but I'm trying to grow much more drought-tolerant perennials, preferably natives, in my garden. So I'm starting a lot of those, and I want to see how I do with cuttings. Some Merlot lettuce that I tried some winter sowing. It is definitely ready to go into a permanent spot, but look how red that is. I'm so excited to get these into their final spot and see them grow into what I'm hoping will be head lettuce. Let me take you into my indoor grow station and show you what's happening there real quick. While I was passing by my curry leaf plant, I wanted to show you, this is going to be a different video, but I'm trying some air layering, so let's see how that goes. So before I go to my indoor grow tent, I wanted to show you some plants that are still getting their start indoors from cuttings. This here is Pepino Dulce. It's a fruit that I'm growing for the first time this year. This here is passion fruit. I'm really excited about this. I don't know how successful I'm going to be growing this, but a lot of people have shown me videos on YouTube of how crazy their passion fruit plants have grown, like in just a year. So I am excited to see whether I can do some magic with that. So wish me luck. It's the Frederick variety. It's a purple passion fruit. And over here I've got some longevity spinach. I take cuttings in every year, and I keep them in pots because they are not cold tolerant. And then round about this time I start moving them outdoors. I've got my chayote squash. I've got 3 of them growing here. So, okay, let's go to the grow tent. Okay, so this is my indoor grow tent. It's in my bedroom. And let's open it up here. So as you can see, the temperature gauge on the wall says that it is at about 72 degrees, which is kind of nice. I've got some turmeric and ginger getting started here. And I do have these domes, which really help with the humidity when I start plants. And here I've got some peppers growing. I've got some lavender that I'm growing from cuttings, and I've actually started my zinnias as well because I love zinnias. They're probably my favorite flower. Well, one of my favorite flowers. And here are some of the tomatoes that are still starting to sprout, as well as some peppers that I started fairly late. Yeah, a lot of them growing really nicely. These peppers grew, they started, today's the 16th. As you can see, I planted these peppers. This is a Kangstar Lemon Starburst. I planted these on the 12th. So this is 4 days, folks, for pepper seeds, hot pepper seeds to start. And hot peppers take a long time to sprout. So this kind of a humid environment really helps with germinating seeds really fast. Let's see, what else do I have here? Yep, odds and ends of things. This is another curry leaf cutting that I am sprouting, and this is how I do it, folks. I put the cutting in like a gallon pot with some soil, and I put a bag on it to keep, again, the humidity in. I put it on this grow mat, and yeah, hopefully in a couple of weeks or so I will have a new plant starting to grow, just like I've got going on here. Don't judge me, folks. I don't do cuttings a lot, so this is kind of an experiment, and I got a ton of cuttings from some neighbors. These are all perennials, and I'm getting them all started here in soil. Obviously they're very compacted, so I do regularly remove this bag and let some airflow happen. I've got a fan here, but I do cover them up also to keep the humidity inside, and a lot of them are starting to grow. I mean, this is all new growth here. So it's been going for about 3 weeks or so, and I'm going to let it stay for about 6 weeks altogether, and then I'm going to test to see which plants have started, which cuttings have started rooting, and I will start transferring them to bigger containers. I've also got some figs that I am starting here in containers. So excited, 2 different varieties. And down here I've got some grapes. These are grape cuttings. This is Princess grape. It's a green seedless, and this one is a Tom Cord seedless grape again. So, and they're all starting to produce little shoots, so that's extremely exciting. So that's it, folks. This is my indoor grow station, and I absolutely love it. I do take the plants out every once in a while to air them. Once they start to get to about this size, I do take them outside, give them a bit of sun. One of the biggest problems with indoor stations is fungus gnats, so I've got to keep an eye on that. And as you can see here, I've got my yellow sticky thing, and catch 'em young is my motto. You've got to get these sticky things going as soon as you plant these or get these started, because once the fungus gnats start to propagate or multiply, it is extremely difficult to control them. So not had much of a problem this year. The sticky traps seem to be working. All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you learned something new, please do give it a thumbs up. Follow along with my videos as I plant more and more in my garden. The growing season has started, and I am so excited. Live green and love your greens.